On days like this, I'm at the Casa de la Cultura to revamp my tarot class, and as you guys can see, the class is sadly empty. So I have to go and put some more ads in the paper, do something to make sure that this class is known, that they know that I'm here. Because I don't think they know that I'm here. So I had to leave. It's gonna be a long day today. I had to leave early the little hospital, the little health center, because a girl that was waiting there collapsed and banged her head against the floor. And she was pregnant, so the doctors are going to take care of her for, make sure that she doesn't lose the baby. She's got a concussion. She got a seizure. She fell into a seizure. We should have filmed that. I didn't film it though. But with the concussion and the seizure, the girl is going to take all the attention in the morning. And I had a class here at 10. It's already 10:20. So it was better if I just left and dealt with the class, which I'm doing, but nobody arrived. So I didn't get my x-rays checked today, and my class is a bust. It's one of those days where things go weird, and things just don't go as you plan them. Which is okay. Because that gives you the pause to think about your life and what you're doing and what you're not doing and all those things. And that's good. That's how it should be. So, since there's no class, I guess what I could do is talk to you guys on YouTube a little bit about the interconnectedness of all the occult sciences. Occult, first of all, let's go over what occult means. Occult means that it's not known by most people. Medicine is an occult science. If you don't know how to, read an x-ray, well, you have an occult power. You can read x-rays. If you don't know how to diagnose, a skin condition or a blood condition, or how to interpret, for instance, some blood exams, well, you're basically not an occultist on the medical field. But it's not only the medical field where occult sciences take place. You can also have occult sciences in astrophysics. You can have occult sciences in any type of specialized knowledge that deals with a theme or a kind of magic trick that ordinary people don't have. That's an occult science. Now, in the occult sciences, there are some that are called, the witchy stuff, the tarot, the Ouija, spell casting, necromancy. I like the Dungeons and Dragons definitions of magicians. They basically break it down to certain sciences, which is very practical if you're talking to somebody about it. Necromancy for the dead, evocation for dealing with angels and spiritual beings, summoning, which summons, for instance, elemental beings, trolls, gnomes, that type of thing. I don't remember them all actually. I would have to look at them. It's just a nice way to separate magic into different fields. But if you're doing the tarot, which is what this class is about, and as you can see today particularly, it's a very slow class. If you're doing the tarot, basically what we're talking about is we're talking about divination. See things into the future. Now, I've read a lot of tarot books, and they all say, well, the tarot doesn't tell you the future. Well then, if you don't use it for divination, why use it at all? It's kind of like, I'm sure Hodorowski would not agree with me on this, but there is a magical element in the cards and with the tarot, which is undeniable, which is that you're going to be able to tell people, you know, if somebody's going to die, or if somebody's going to be, if somebody's pregnant, you know, if somebody, it just shows up, you know, it's not a logical, scientifically explainable event, but, you know, 9 out of 10 times it works. That one time it doesn't work does not negate the 10 times it does. So, how does it work? I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I haven't gone there yet, but it works. My Christian and Muslim friends that are really into their Bibles and are into the Qurans will probably say, well, you know, you're calling up jinns or spirits or evil spirits, demons to help you read the cards. And I prefer to think of them as ghosts. I think ghosts is a more appropriate term for them. Disembodied spirits that come and murmur answers to you about what is going on with your clients. I think that's more on the ghostly side of the equation, but you know, maybe the Christians and the Muslims are right, and I'm dooming myself to eternal damnation for my acts. I have a strong problem believing in eternal damnation from a just God. So that's a place where I kind of say, you know what, guys, if your God is just and all-loving and he's willing to eternally damn somebody for doing something against his way of thinking for mankind, well, I'd just rather pass on that. And that's a decision you have to make as a tarot reader. You can't really, you know, if you're gonna read cards, man, you gotta let go of a lot of shit that could get in the way of that, you know, and you gotta be honest. That's the other one. You gotta be really honest. If the card says, hey man, you know, your daddy's gonna die and you're gonna lose your house and your cat's gonna run out on you and your wife is cheating on you, you just gotta tell it the way you see it and not be afraid of telling your client that. It's just the way it is. So why am I going back to, basically, I guess I'm sharing all this because I had to give a tarot class this morning, and I'm not giving it to anybody in this classroom. There were supposed to be some people here, they didn't show up, but I'm giving it to you on my little camera, then we'll pass it on to you and deal with the consequences. Now, lately, here in Valle de Bravo, we've been dealing with the consequences of the narco war. A lot of people have been dying lately. It's just a lot of killing going on right now. In this town, in that town, the other town. The thing to do when you're in those type of situations, there's a calling in Mexico for a revolution. A lot of people are saying, well, you gotta, you know, bring down the government. And that's got nothing to do with tarot, but I'm kind of bored and I'm just going to share it with you anyways. So I hope you don't mind. People are saying in Mexico, well, bring down the government, we'll bring justice. I don't think they can do that. I don't think that exists. Revolutions, all the revolutions I've seen, all the revolutions I've studied, have the same problem. They start with a good idea. Let's bring down all the narco terrorists and bring them to justice. Read, kill them or imprison them or whatever. But the underlying cause of those guys existing to begin with has to do with something in human nature that permits their egos to grow to such an extent that they are willing to risk their lives for material benefits and wealth. And usually that comes from anger. It comes from fear. A lot of these guys are acting out of fear. So what do you do when the shooting starts in your town, which is kind of what's going on here in Valle? Well, the first thing is you realize you're not in anybody's favor. You're not really, you're not really trying to help anybody other than yourself. When you get that, you say, well, then who I have to kill? Well, the answer is nobody. You defend your intimate, personal space because you can't let yourself be murdered or raped but basically you stay out of vendettas and paybacks and payoffs and there's no political or moral reason to fight anybody, because the moment you pick up the weapons, they say, well, we're defending our families. Well, yeah, okay, you're defending your family, guys, but basically you're gonna go kill people. You pick up a weapon, you go out to battle, you're gonna start killing people. And if you take the battle to the enemy or the enemy takes the battle to you, the end result is the same. People are gonna get killed. So any moral superiority you had or any moral victory you may enjoy before that starts, if you're not defending yourself, it's gone. It's finished. The job of the thinkers, the job of the good people, is not to go chase down criminals and murdering them. Their job is to just defend their space, defend their land, defend their stuff, but also defend peace. And you can't defend peace with a weapon. I don't know. I'm not saying I have the answer for you guys, because I don't. I'm just saying that you're not going to find peace with weapons, because you won't. So there has to be another answer. Now, what is worth defending? Well, in Michoacan they said, they're raping the girls and they take our money and blah, blah, blah. I hope it's not true. It probably is. I don't know. I read the Templar Knights cartel booklet, and they are supposed to, by their own design and words and stuff, protect women and children. That's kind of what their job is. They can't use drugs, for instance, right? So are they out of control? Are they not applying their own internal justice? What's going on there? I don't know. What I do know is that the body count is piling up. And that, yesterday there was a shootout here, and there was a family murdered a week ago just down the block, and just people dying all over the place. And we don't even really know who's killing them, who's killing who. It doesn't really matter, because if you're fighting for a cause or you're fighting for a purpose and you're killing people, it's probably the wrong cause. One thing is, somebody comes to your house armed with weapons and try to rape and murder your family, and you defend yourself. I have no problem with that. But a very different thing is to take the fight to somebody else and say, I'm gonna kill you because I think or I believe you killed some of my people. That's another entire concept. In Fragante, you can get somebody, if they're trying to murder, say that I'm here on the street and they're trying to murder somebody. Well, you can, if you see who's doing it, you can definitely try to stop them. But if you're not sure who killed who, and you go out there, and that's the problem I have with police. The police supposedly have to make justice and protect the innocent. But how many innocent people are actually in jail today? In Mexico, a whole lot. And why? Because there are monetary interests, there are all types of corruptions and things that go on, and then there's just the old basic premise that when you're looking for justice, and justice means, for instance, the death penalty or putting somebody away for life, whatever, it's more vengeance than justice, It's more vengeance than justice. So, I'm not saying I have the answer. Please don't get that idea out of me. But I've been reading, for instance, this little book right here, Death of Yugoslavia. I just started it. Speaks about how the Serbian war started, the elements that went into the Serbian war, and it was kind of what's going on here in Michoacan. It was a group of people, the Serbs, who wanted to defend their territory, right, the landmass, from another group of people, the Croats and the Muslims, that were supposedly encroaching or attacking them in their territory. And at the end of the war, there was millions dead and lots of orphan children on all sides, and I don't think anybody got better from it. I don't think anybody learned anything good out of it. So we're not learning the lessons of history, folks. We're not getting the point. Here's my take on Michoacan. You have a corrupt problem. You have a federal government, state government, municipal government that permit certain crimes to occur, causing people to have a response. Of course, these people are going to have a violent response because they're being violently treated. But this violent response is not going to resolve the violence, is it? It's just going to create more violence. So, what needs to happen? You need to find a different way of solving the problem. Now, I have told people many, many times that if you want to change the world, you start with yourself. The instrument that is filming my face right now is a weapon. It's a very powerful, dangerous weapon. pointed at the right events, the right moments in time, it can give let's say, a view of what is going on that is more clear, and it's kind of like when you find out your wife's been cheating on you. If you don't have any evidence of it, you really can't fight with her. But if you have evidence that is really happening, if you made a photo of her on the bed with the guy having sex, it changes the whole ball game, because then she can't deny it. It's pixelated, it's real. Could be photoshopped, but it's real. So there's shit going on in Michoacan, there's shit going on in Guerrero, shit going on here in town that nobody ever finds out about because there's no evidence. And we have now a weapon with which we can evidence what's going on. We can create evidence of what's going on. If you see a corrupt thing going on, you can evidence the event. You can photograph it, put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube. And there's no going back and saying that didn't happen, because there's an evident domain, right? Now, here's the tricky part. Images can be manipulated. So it's not always clear evidence. You need lots of evidence. You need lots of cameras to make it work. But once you actually have the evidence that something went down, something's going on, like in Michoacan, the cameras are not going in there. We don't know what's going on. We don't really know how many dead are. When they make a narcofosa and they bury all these bodies and shit, they don't film that shit. Sometimes they do. They send their messages to the other cartels saying, look, man, this is what we're going to do to your people if you don't lay off our territory. So that's undeniable evidence that shit goes down, see? But mostly not. Mostly it goes without being seen. And there's where the problem starts. Because there's so much shit going on that nobody knows nothing about, that somehow when they are called in to fight for their rights or their liberty or whatever, they don't even know what the fuck they're fighting for. They're putting their lives on the line, and they don't know what for. They don't know what's the purpose of it. Especially in the United States. You know, what's going on in Afghanistan? What's going on in Iraq? We don't know, man. I told people 10 years ago, I said, man, I think there's something going on in the United States that is really dark and dangerous, and it's going to have consequences for Mexico. And I came to Mexico 10 years ago and I said, guys, you better watch out. There's some serious moving and shaking going on, and it could have consequences right here. And right now, there's bodies piling up right here. So I wasn't so wrong after all, see? I wasn't so stupid after all. But what I am right about, and what I won't back down on, is that you're not going to resolve it shooting it out with people. Because the problem is the shooting out with people to begin with. Whose side do you rather be? Stalin, Churchill, or Hitler? What's the difference between them? Churchill is going to bomb Dresden, Stalin is going to have gulags, and Hitler's going to have concentration camps. So there's no difference between those three guys. See, there's no change in the system. I'd rather be on Gandhi's side. I don't think Gandhi had concentration camps. I don't think Gandhi had, gulags, and I don't think Gandhi nuked anybody like Truman did. So who is morally correct in World War II? Oh, well, Gandhi. But wait a minute, Gandhi was fighting the English. That makes him an ally of Hitler. No, it makes him Gandhi. It makes him a guy that wanted to, defend his nation. I don't believe in nations anymore, but he defended his nation without having to kill the enemy. Gandhi didn't send out troops to kill the Brits. He could have had a whole terrorist network working in India with the help of old Adolf Hitler. Adolf said to Gandhi, he said, man, I'll help you out. I'll give you a hand in India. Just, help you with the Brits. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Gandhi said, Mr. Hitler, you have right now the opportunity to change the world. Please do so. And that doesn't necessarily mean make ovens and burn gypsies. So, what needs to change is not the governments or the regimes. Obama's fine in office. For instance, so many Mexicans want to go to the United States for better opportunities. What about a Mexican initiative to become the 53rd state of the United States? Mexico would be a huge state of the United States, like Canada, right? Then we inch it towards further down south. We get Nicaragua, and we say, all right, guys, you can't bomb us. You can't send in your Marines to occupy us, like they did in Panama and Grenada, because we're part of you. And we all have a say-so in what the fuck's going on here. Because we're all citizens of the same nation, the American nation. Could work. Not a shot would be fired. The opportunities that are occurring in America would be more or less the same as here. Sustainability and all those things have to be thought out, because obviously not everybody can have 2 cars and a 2-car garage and a big house full of appliances. The world will burn up. But as far as social justice, as far as, for instance, the right of free speech, as far as, for instance, the right of self-determination, the things that originally the United States stood up for. At some point, they vocalized it. They said, we will protect the right of people to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I don't think it's true. I don't think they do it. I don't think they're doing it right now. They wouldn't have the largest prison population in the world if they were doing that. But let's say that the premise of this document that protects us all from the government was real. Say, let's all sign the same document. Let's all agree that this is a good set of rules by which we can protect ourselves from the government. It doesn't work in the United States because 9/11, blah, 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 Guantanamo Bay, fracking, a whole series of problems. Slavery. I mean, all men are created equal except you guys because you're too dark. Doesn't work, right? But if the idea is good, you can make it work. Now, what would that mean? That would mean that you don't have to worry about the border, first of all. I've been telling people about the border for years. I've been telling people about the fact that there is, a dollar and a peso and an Argentinian peso. This whole manipulation of the currencies by the banks that only serve the banks and actually destroy the possibility of true social justice for the masses. We should all be under the same coin. And it should be worth something. If you're gonna go to a bank and, a little piece of paper is not worth dip shit. You give somebody a gold coin, or you give somebody a silver coin, or you give somebody a copper coin even, well, it's worth something. It's worth the weight of that metal, which is a constant quantity in the planet. So why was there gold coins? Because people knew that there was a certain amount of gold available to trade, and they wanted to make sure that it was, distributed. And the banking situation then fucked that up. They started to make these little checks. And when they made the checks, suddenly paper was worth more than gold.